Live and in color from the NBC News radio broadcasting studios of KCAA, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM, located in beautiful Southern California, and in parallel from the Turf's Up radio studio in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Thanks for tuning in to the Water Zone show this evening.
All right, a great afternoon and good evening to everybody, and maybe possibly morning, depending where you are in the wonderful world today. It could be anywhere. Show goes all over. We're very happy. Welcome to the Water Zone. I'm Rob Starr along with Mr. Chris Davies, and we will be and we'll maintain that as the host of the show. We got a good show. We're actually broadcasting live from the Irrigation Association Symposium, and we're here in Long Beach, California. I think it's a nice day. I only went out once. And
I have no idea. It could be morning, it could be noon, it could be night. I haven't been outside in 4 days.
Oh.
I've been in this building talking to people and advancing the cause of irrigation. But it's been worth it.
Wow.
But I do look forward to some sunshine tomorrow.
Good. Well, we are blessed for lots of reasons. We have Miss Inky Visconer, who was also part of the Water Zone show, the original one. We did an act show once a month, and she was kind, her and Paul. It was great. And anyway, she is, well, not anymore, I guess, the...
As of 10 minutes ago, I'm past president.
Past president of the Irrigation Association. A little bit about her. She's the principal owner of a company called Surf and Earth Enterprises. And she has she's certified irrigation designer and a certified landscape irrigation auditor. She has a BS in Ag from the University of California, Davis. And she also has what's called a PCA license, which probably most of the listeners may not know what that is, but has to do with produce and
Pest control advisor.
Pest control advisor.
Actually, that did lapse a number of years ago, but at one time in production agriculture, you did need to have a PCA license, and that's when I got it.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Well, now that you had your experience of being the president and go through the same process, you should have had it on the 5th. Instead of today.
I know. When somebody said President Visconer today, I about flipped out.
Oh.
I was like, oh, wouldn't that have been nice? Seriously.
Well, why don't you tell our audience, for some of those, we have a lot of industry people, but we also have a lot of non-industry people. What does the president of the Irrigation Association do? What's their responsibilities?
Well, I'm actually president of the board of directors.
Okay.
Of the Irrigation Association. We have a wonderful board of 15 of our members. 5 of them are on the executive committee. And so the treasurer and then the vice president and president-elect and president, they help give direction to the board, and the board helps give direction to Natasha, who you will also be talking to, and she's here with us today. Hi, Natasha.
Hello.
Natasha's our wonderful CEO, and she actually runs the organization with her staff. So I'm a volunteer, and so is the board, and we are from the industry, and we help provide direction to Natasha so she can get direction to her staff to run the association. And it's basically an association that advances, our mission and vision is to have efficient irrigation, agriculture and landscape irrigation, and it's a group of, the members are from industry. So it's a little different designation than a typical nonprofit. It's like a nonprofit for business organization. So it's been a 5-year commitment. You know, you get on the board usually and leave in 3 years, but they snag me for the full 5-year term. Part of the reason I wanted to do it was I looked at the 50-year history of the organization and who had been, you know, in leadership positions in the last 50 years, and there was one woman. There was only one woman. That was Sue York. It was a long time ago, and I thought it was time to have another one, for just to mix it up a bit.
I coined a thing that Natasha knows what I'm going to say, and called her a wild woman. I didn't want to get slapped. I didn't want to get slapped, and I had to clarify.
And you didn't.
No.
Women of water. I think.
Women of water.
Yeah, you told me that. Yeah.
So no, she didn't slap me, but the policeman was not nice to me. But only kidding. Only kidding. So, what was some of the most exciting things you moved forward in the IA with? Accomplishments.
You know, this last 5 years, we've all experienced unprecedented change in our lives. It kind of started before COVID, but COVID was very difficult. We had some challenges because our financial model was built around a show, and we weren't able to have a show, so that was stressful. And then for our organization, we had a change in our CEOs. The previous one retired, and so we had to get a recruiting committee going and find a new CEO. And I'm proud. One of my proudest accomplishments is that I was on the search committee that hired Natasha. And Natasha has done a bang-up job.
Good job.
Yeah, I think so too. Thank you. Me and a few other people. But that's part of being a board member. You never know what's going to come up. And
right.
Oh my gosh, the current CEO is retiring. You're going to be on the search committee, so here you are searching for an executive, and we need to get that done in a month or 2 months. So we did it. We came together. We got Natasha, and Natasha's done a bang-up job of rebuilding the IA. There's been so much change in the industry, a lot of consolidation, a lot of little companies are being gobbled up by bigger companies, so that kind of interferes with your membership model. And we have a world today that doesn't necessarily go to trade shows or even read magazines to get their information and foster their relationships. So we are now ready, with Natasha's hard work in building the structure, we're now ready to move forward of transitioning from a magazine and trade show focused organization into an education and advocacy focused organization, which we're always part of it, but not the main event, And so I'm proud that I was part of that, and I'm also very proud of the board makeup. We have, I handed off the gavel just now to a picture of Julie Bichelle because she wasn't actually there, but Julie's just a phenomenal member of our industry. She's vice president of Page Industries and very involved in advocacy with the governor of her own state. She'll provide.
Is she a hot wire?
I don't know if she's a hot wire. What is a hot wire?
Oh, a person who is very active. And,
yes.
Okay,
as long as you define it that way. I never know with Rob what he's talking about. So you just never know. But no, Julie will be great, and behind her is Michael from Rainbird, and then Katie from Monroe, and then Mike from Netherfim. So actually, within the next few years, we're going to have had 4 women of water as presidents.
But it's nice to see that,
of the IA. I'm proud of that. I had a hand in doing that.
When I was at WaterSense, a lot of water stuff, and I think it's awesome that there's a whole bunch of women in the thing, and it should be like. I mean, the industry's, Matt is going through what we call a gray wave right now.
Yeah.
So if you're older, people retire and such. But I see more opportunities, and women are they're just grasping, and they want to do something, and you see the passion in it. That's pretty exciting, though.
Oh, our industry we need people. I mean, you talk to everybody, and they say, the labor market's tight. We need more people. And we need to cast a wider net to attract people to our industry. And a lot of people don't come to this industry because they think it's got to do with shoveling dirt or something, and they don't understand that it's really high tech and sexy. It's a really sexy industry. It's really wonderful to be able to grow plants. It's so exciting to watch a plant sprout out of soil and then become a big, pumpkin tomato producing tree.
Exactly.
And irrigation is part of that, and we want to attract not only women, but lots of different people. And what I tell all my white male friends, there's nothing wrong with being a white male. It's just that there's more to the world than a white male, and we want everybody because we need everybody. What's my phrase? We want to make sure that we don't overlook anybody, and that nobody overlooks us. It goes 2 ways. They don't know about us. They don't know that we're not a sexy industry, but we are a very fulfilling industry to grow food, fuel, and fiber for people and create beautiful landscapes for people. And at the same time, we're conserving precious resources and making sure that we have a healthy environment that we depend on as well. So,
you know, when I first got into the industry, what amazed me was the ag side.
yeah.
Because people just think you put seeds in the ground, a tractor rolls over it, takes what it does. But there's so much technology.
E-I-E-I-O.
Yeah. That's true. But there's so much. Even I had an opportunity to go climb into a tractor or a combine or whatever some of these things are called. First, I couldn't believe how high they were.
Yeah,
number one, and the amount of technology that was inside of these things. Aside from they had a TV, a stereo, and air conditioning and everything else.
900 square foot apartment.
Yeah.
In case you want to take a nap.
Yeah. Well, you know, they cut lawns now with remote control stuff, and that's pretty cool. I want to bring my co-host in, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hey guys, how are you? You guys are just—it sounds like you're having just way too much fun with all the laughing going on, and I'm just sorry I can't be there, but I do welcome everybody to this version of the Water Zone. This is one of my favorite shows that was live at the IA that we've done in the past. And Rob, as you know, I had a conflict, but I wish I was there hobnobbing with the irrigation elite. But Ingy, congrats on your past presidency. How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, it's been great, but, you know, Friday's going to be a whole new day.
It is.
No,
Well, I
it's
appreciate, you know, everybody here, we all appreciate your service to the IA and to the board of directors, especially that, you know, I got a question here. It is, and it kind of relates to your legacy, right? Kind of weird to talk about that in this political theater that we've been in the last several months. But just from a legacy standpoint, you know, what do you see? Where do you see your greatest achievements as your tenure as IA president?
Well, we talked a little bit about that I was proud of the board makeup, and that we are transitioning, you know, from older focuses. Foci, however you say that word, to the new focuses. I'm pretty excited that we're going to have a focus on education and advocacy in the future, because oftentimes irrigation gets accused of wasting the water, and we shouldn't have irrigation anymore. And I'm the first to admit that there's been unintended consequences of irrigation, you know, inefficient irrigation and groundwater overdraft. There's been some pollution in the environment, but that doesn't mean we need to shut it down. We just need to make sure it is efficient irrigation and it doesn't have those bad consequences. And we can do that. And quite frankly, we have to do it because everybody needs to eat. And we produce our food from it. And we need the landscapes, too, because, you know, green plants help make the world go round, you know, not only just for aesthetics, but, you know, mechanically speaking. I mean, if you try to build machines that did the ecosystem services that green plants do, I'll tell you what, you know, a bush is a lot better economic model for that than buying a machine. You know, you're going to get more bang for the buck out of some greenery than you are buying a plant that will do what it does in cleaning.
Sure.
So I'm proud of being part of that transition, being a role model for some of the gals. It was just so heartening after our E3 photo up after the show today.
Right.
A number of those young women wanted to take a picture with me. You know, awesome. I mean, so hopefully.
How much did you charge?
You know, I was looking for a Diet Coke, but nobody. That is exactly what I wanted. But so that makes me feel like it was worthwhile for sure, and that I accomplished part of my goal, which was to kind of be a mentor. I wanted young women to see that this was an industry that welcomes them as well, because they have a lot to contribute. They love to grow stuff and get involved in these things, and they have mechanical skills and horticultural skills and engineering skills. They're in the classes, and they have a lot to contribute to our industry, as has
irrigation is high tech.
It is
And for most of the people who are not in that industry, they don't understand that. There really is a lot of high tech in this thing.
Yeah.
I'm working with they've been on our show before, through ConocoPhillips, a small little petroleum company worth a couple $100 million. But they're working with some Indian tribes and cities in the Santa Fe, New Mexico, and they do a lot of fracking. And so the water that comes up can't do anything with it, trying to get rid of it, but they're starting to reproduce that water, meaning it's being treated and done so it turns into drinking water. Yeah. And there's a couple of cities we had a couple of mayors on the other day, one from Jal. I never heard of this city, but it's called Jal. They only have like 2,000 people. And then another city called Hobbs, they have like 43,000 people. And so now this is a new source of water for them and for the Indian tribes, so they're really excited about that.
Yep.
And that's a big deal.
Yeah, and one of the things we talked about, especially on the panel this morning with our ag and urban panelists, was that we need to think more about water use efficiency. You know, in the past we have talked a lot about just conservation. In fact, all the USDA funding was for, hey, we'll give you money if you can figure out a way to use less water. And actually in landscape that is the goal. But in agriculture you can do what's called water use efficiency. You get more bang for the buck, more crop per drop for each unit of water, and that makes the land more productive. We don't talk about that in landscape because you don't have a productivity facet for landscape. There's an aesthetic value, but and I've been pushing for that for years, and like 10 years ago I was told, oh my God, you just drop it. Nobody's ever going to, USDA is never going to listen to that. But you know what?
Yeah, but today.
They're doing it now. We are funding based on helping to upgrade and modernize our on-farm infrastructure, and the criteria is no longer just conservation, not just seeing that it's less water, but if we can improve the water use efficiency and by extension also the resource use efficiency, which means not just the water, but the energy and the fertilizer and the labor and all the other inputs. You know, water's the centerpiece to it all. Julie said it this morning. It is our most precious resource. You cannot live without water. I can live without electricity, but if you're a backpacker, that's the first thing you think about. Where's the water on the hike? Because I can't live without the water.
That's true. That's very true.
I'm proud that we've been in the water industry and that all of us have contributed to helping conserve and make best use of that precious resource.
Well, just real quick question on your business, Principal.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what that is real shortly, and then how they can get a hold of you?
Oh, sure. Well, I've been in this industry for almost 40 years now, starting on farm, grew up on a farm and corporate farming, and then went into the irrigation manufacturing sector for most of my career, both agriculture and landscape and sprinklers and drip technologies. But I did take early retirement from Toro 7 years ago. 7 years ago? Let's see. Yeah, about 7 years ago, and I formed my own consulting company. And that's been just a lot of fun. I've had a lot of different projects over the years, but most recently, the last 3 years, my company is called Serpent Earth Enterprises. And most recently, I partnered with Ag H2O, my dear friend and colleague Jim Anschutz, to develop a program that allows a nominally trained technician to quickly perform what's called a distribution uniformity analysis on a farm irrigation system. And those sorts of analyses exist today, but they're long and laborious, and you get a score and you don't know what it means. Our methodology, which Jim developed, quickly gets the score and then translates it into how much money it's costing that farmer to have that bad score. So, for example, most irrigation systems, you want a distribution uniformity of around 0.9 or 0.92. That means we're spreading the water pretty evenly through the field. But if it's a 0.6 or 6.5 or 7 or 7.5, and a lot of systems are poor, that means you're over-irrigating to compensate for the disuniformity, to make sure that everything gets enough water, or part of the field is not getting enough water and it's suffering. So we actually calculate, or we estimate based on farmer input, what is that costing per year in over-irrigation, and more importantly, what is the foregone yield potential? because uniform application of water is directly related to how good the yield is. You know, everybody would agree, yeah, if I had a better irrigation system, I'd probably get a better crop. They don't argue with that. So we monetize that. So we call it DU to dollars now. So if you get a DU score, we can actually tell you how much could you actually afford to spend per year to upgrade your system rather than throw it away and give it to the electric company or the water company. So we call it the DU and then ROI estimator. So that was actually funded by the state of California. We were contractors on that grant, and that tool is now available. And the nonprofit that hired us to do it called Cures, and they have a booth here at the show. And so we're just launching that program. It's free to the public, free to any dealer or farmer or manufacturer to use.
That's awesome.
And it basically is a retrofit tool. It's a retrofit selling tool. You know, if you can help that farmer determine that they have a poorly performing irrigation system, you can now monetize it, and they can perhaps go to the bank and get a loan to go change out the drip line or get new filters or replace the valves. So it's a win-win-win. It's good for the farmer. They'll make more money. It's good for the industry. They're going to get to go engineer and sell a new system or retrofit. It's good for the environment because we're not wasting water and we're not putting water where we don't want it, which is in the groundwater or in the rivers, because it usually has fertilizer. You know, and that's not good. And we don't want to waste electricity. You know. So that's been my big project lately, and that's kind of coming to a close for now. And I'm starting a new venture with a company called Irriglide, which has a device that helps ease the process of putting drip irrigation tubing onto drip irrigation fittings, which we all know is kind of the bane of the industry. It is so hard to put tubing on the fittings. It's a pain in the rear. And this little device makes it really easy.
So is there a website that they can go to?
You can go to irriglide.com
Okay.
For that. I don't have a website, but I have a LinkedIn page that has kind of a list of the projects that I have accomplished and you know, what's going on with the IA and things like that. But and that would be just Inge Bisconer. Just type in Inge Bisconer to LinkedIn. And I'm around. I'm going to be working on Irriglide and be the past president of the IA, and hopefully improving my tennis win percentage.
You're still doing that.
It went down this year. I was over 50 or 60% win on matches, and not so good this year. So we'll work on that too.
Okay. Well, Inge, one, congratulations
Thank
for
you.
your work you're doing. Second, thank you for being part of the Water Zone show in the past. And you knew I love talking to you about taking stuff. And you were my idol into drip, so I appreciate that. Well, I'll let you go. I know you got some filming to do.
Yeah.
For your little thing tonight.
Yeah, for the thing tonight. Yeah, thank you, Rob. One of the favorite parts of me, my 7 years at Toro, were the 100 or so episodes that Paul and I co-hosted with you and Mike and Chris on the Water Zone Ag podcast.
Help make the show where it is.
That was so fun.
We appreciate that.
Thank you for welcoming me back today.
Always.
All right, thank you.
Have a good one.
All right, so we got Natasha coming on now, right?
I think we're going to go.
And we're going to welcome Mr. Dan Winserton, and he is the Director of Marketing for Irrigation and Lighting at the Toro Company. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Chris. Good to be back. It was probably this time last year was the last time I was on your show, right after the NBA last year. So always good to be back. Good to talk to you guys.
Well, got a question that I figure you can answer because you're smart about marketing. I'm not a marketing guy. I'm just an engineer. Over the years and currently, there's still a lot of continued conversation about turf and that it utilizes a significant amount of water. So it's highly recommended by a lot of water agencies and districts to remove it and change the space to a different type landscape. But as a Director of Marketing for an industry-leading irrigation equipment manufacturer at the Toro Company, how do you view that debate? How do you see that as, people say just pull it out and remove the turf and we're all good. But what's the issues about this?
So I'm glad you asked that. And I'm going to piggyback a little bit on some of what Inge hit on, but, we have to change the narrative, I believe, in our industry, and it starts with understanding the importance of the benefits of healthy landscapes and lawns and the greenery, and Inge hit on it, but, there's so much mental good that comes out of it. Could you imagine a world where there isn't a park where you could take your kids and your dogs to run around, or you're out going on a walk and all you're walking by is dirt and gravel? But the benefits of carbon sequestration and heat island effect, in urban cities where it's all concrete jungle, the heat just continues to be wreaking havoc on things. But there's just so many good benefits to it that I think we need to make sure we continue to push on how important they are. And then we need to hit them with what you said is the technology that's out there today is phenomenal to use less water to continue to keep those green spaces for us. Because the narrative today is turf is being demonized. We need to just rip it out, and there's so many, I live in native Southern California, and I've been here my whole life, and I've just seen it over the years, how much money gets put in to these programs for the water purveyors to get homeowners to pull out their turf, and then what goes in? Nothing but rock and dirt and, desert landscape. And it's amazing then to go back 3-4 months later and see the weeds grown and they erode. Even when they put that in, there's some drip landscape that goes in, and it's running off still because there's nothing to soak in that the water that's going in. And so I understand when you look around and you see grass. We talked about it today at the general session. There was a panel of gentlemen there that I thought did a really good job in explaining that there are areas where grass isn't practical. In your medians inside of a parking lot or something like that, and I'm in full agreement. That's not what's practical for having healthy landscapes. But to know that there's just so much good that gets created by it, I think we need to make sure the narrative is around that, and then say, okay, if you want to keep the healthy landscapes and plant material and all that, use water more efficiently to do it. And there is just so much technology today. If any of you have ever had a chance to be at this Irrigation Association show, it's a phenomenal place to come see all of the latest technology. And every year to see, not just Toro, but our competitors do a really good job of creating new products. And all of it is under the direction of how do we use water more efficiently and still get the benefits.
Well, it helps with pollution. It helps to reduce noise. I mean, we can go down the whole list of that. We did a session for Liberty Utilities a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about the pros and cons of turf, real turf versus synthetic grass and things like that. And one's more expensive to put in. One, okay, you don't have to maintain it, but if you have it by a house with windows and the sun hits that, it reflects on it and it turns yellow. Yeah. I mean, there's so many plus and minuses things. There's also in the medical journal, the exact title of it, what the magazine was, it talks about how artificial turf can collect, what's the right word I'm looking for, contamination and can cause cancer and things of that sort. And a lot of sporting fields use it, but for teenagers and younger kids, they're finding back east especially, more kids are developing cancer from playing on this thing because it retains all this junk in it. And you still have to water it. And
and not only that, but then once that the life cycle's gone on that turf, they roll it all up and they throw it in the landfill.
That's
and
right.
Think about the size of a football field, a soccer field, a baseball field that's got artificial turf. It doesn't last forever, and eventually you're going to pull that out, and all that's going to do is contaminate our landfill more with these cancerous materials that are inside the rubbers and things that are in there. But and you mentioned a house. Think about it this way too. If you took out all the grass around your house, you got to spend more on electricity now to cool your house down because the house is getting more heat coming on onto it. So I want to make sure that and the good thing is I think in our industry is we're challenging each other. All of the manufacturers out there are challenging each other, and that's a good thing because we're all racing to figure out how we can use water more efficiently. But the message first and foremost, I believe, has to be around the benefits that it creates for the healthy landscapes,
Exactly.
and then look at how we use the technology now to make sure we're using water more efficiently.
I think that's important. How do people get a hold of Toro Company or you?
Toro.com. Go to our website, and you can learn all about the technology that we've got out there, and obviously there's a lot of new stuff in the pipeline, Rob and Chris, that we continue to develop so we can use water more efficiently. But please visit us at Toro.com, and you will see all the different devices from controllers that automatically calculate run times based on the weather that day for your exact location. Just the days of putting in a controller and watering every zone for 15 minutes for 5 days a week is long gone. And I think people outside of our industry think that that's still going on and that's a water waster, but there is just so much from that controller all the way down to the nozzle at the very end. I'll give you one last example of, we've all gone from halogen to LEDs and taking out one light bulb, unscrewing one and putting in a new one to save all that energy. The same concept is there today with a nozzle at the end of a sprinkler.
Right.
You can change out a nozzle, which is unscrewing it like a light bulb. You will save up to 30 to 40% of water because it's being applied more efficiently.
I used to say, if you remember, it's so easy a CEO can do it.
Hey, the trust is right
Well, I
there.
don't even prefer.
Oh, you get the joke.
Yeah, but because people think it's hard, and I usually don't. Our show is not meant to be an infomercial for the Toro Company, but I do have to say I'm proud, one, to work for it, but two, we have the most models for that are EPA water sense approved than any of the competition in the round, and we've been around for over 100 years. And but I always also tell people they can buy from the top 3 companies.
Yep.
Because we've all been in business a long time. We're not going out of business. We're financially strong, and that's important when you go look for these technologies. A lot of companies come on board into the market because they come from a computer world and they decide to do a smart controller. Well, yes, anybody can design a smart controller, but what's going to happen for service if they don't have the money or the sales or any of that? Buy from I always tell people, buy from a reputable company, and you'll be safe. It's worth the difference in money because some of these, there's another company that I won't mention who they are. They're not in business anymore, but they went out and a couple of water agencies in Southern California bought thousands of them. Then they went broke, and they're out. And everybody that has one of those controllers, they're stuck. Yeah. So anyway, Dan, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming by. I know you got to drive home.
Yep, absolutely. Anytime, Rod. Chris, good to hear from you again, and we'll talk to you soon.
You're welcome. All right, thanks.
Thanks, Dan. You too.
Bye, Chris.
Okay. We have some great guests. We got about 20-something minutes to go to the show, and we'll give you guys a quick chance. I know you all got to get out of here. And I can sit here and discuss stuff with you all day long, and I like that, but I have another appointment to go to, which Nastasha's going to be at, and Iggy's going to be at. So I got to go to this. Anyway, we have a gentleman here named Tyler Fields, and he's with Valley Irrigation, and they're the winner of the IA's Vanguard Award recipient. So I'm going to ask a couple questions so people know who you are.
Okay.
What is Valley Irrigation? I know, but our listeners, some of the listeners.
Well, the easy way to say is when you're flying over, with the so-called flyover station, you see the crop circles, right? So Valley Irrigation is the oldest original pivot manufacturer from the 50s.
Oh, so you did that. There's no ETs then.
There could be, depending on what news station you're watching.
Yeah.
So, but we've been in business since the 50s and really developed the precision ag technology of today to really help catapult efficiency and sustainability into farming practices. And it's a Valmont company, and our mission is to conserve resources and improve life.
Excellent, excellent. How did you get drawn into the water business?
When I was a senior in high school down in Florida, I took a computer. I think I had to go to that C prompt deal and then put in a floppy disk. And I ran this computer program that went through and asked a bunch of questions. And it came back and it told me to become an agricultural engineer. And I didn't know what that was. And I Googled it. I don't think there was Google then. I don't know what I Yahoo'd it or whatever. And I found out that is what I wanted to be because I had this technical mind. I have a passion for agriculture, grew up in agriculture, family was in agriculture. and the engineering just really got me. And so I went to school at University of Florida, and I got my agriculture engineering degree. And through that, I developed this passion for irrigation. But I really wanted to go, my whole dream and passion through school was I wanted to go work for a large farm. I wanted to be their ag engineer. And I ended up not doing that, but I've actually gone now through Valley, and I've worked for the world's largest farms. And that has absolutely been an awesome experience all across the world. So,
wow, that's pretty interesting, and you're lucky that you had that opportunity to do that.
Yes, sir. I've been all across the world, a bunch of different places, looking at irrigation and doing it differently, and learning new concepts of why to do it in different areas and different crop types, different soils, things of that sort.
You know, a lot of people don't understand that farming is the lifeblood of this country. In California, when I lived in California a couple of years ago, and I lived there for many years. I just moved out of California because I wanted someplace different. But what was interesting about it is people were saying, well, we got to get rid of the cows, we got to get rid of the ranches, we got to get rid of this, we got to put little bags for flagelants on their backs and all this other stuff. Really getting crazy. And you shouldn't be growing alfalfa, and you shouldn't do this. It's so much money to the state, and not only the money, but the people working. And they use too much water. Well, look at the almond industry. They, over the last 10, 15 years, developed new ways with technology to help reduce the usage of water and expand their crops. A lot of things cropped up, and I use that word funny, cropped up, but they do a lot in the Midwest and the East Coast in what's called vertical farming. And that's pretty interesting, taking a warehouse and converting that into things where you have artificial lighting that does it, you have water, you use less chemicals, so it can be pretty much organic. And that's a good place to start. You don't have to start worrying about turning the dirt over, your insects and all that kind of things. So it's pretty interesting and important that the more people on this earth, we have to have food.
I think that farmers are truly, next to our military, they're the unsung heroes of this country.
Oh, absolutely.
And I believe that irrigation helps create, I think, years ago, the IA, when we were at one of the fly-ins in D.C., we started this, more crop for the drop, right? And so how do we help farmers become more productive in what they're doing? And as we drive productivity to help feed the world, the ever-growing world, we're also driving, and that pushes into a new efficiency, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And so by getting more productive with the same land, the IA has the stat that only 25% of U.S. farmland is actually irrigated, but yet it produces over half of the yield. And that's just a staggering stat to me when you think about how much land we could irrigate and become more productive with.
Mm-hmm. I know one of the big things that the country of Israel deals with is the salinity of the water and how they're having their biochemical engineers figure that out so they can incorporate it with the crops to get more yield.
Yeah, desalinization is a technology that's there. It's just very expensive for when you're trying to get to the gallons, for large acreages.
And that's true for now, but I truly believe going forward, they'll solve that issue.
I believe you're right.
Chris, jumping in. I don't want to do all the talking.
Well, Tyler, first of all, congratulations. I know it's a terrific big win for you, and being a guy with my wife's half of the family being in farming in the upper Midwest, I get a good, I get served spoonfuls of farming knowledge, whether I want it or not. But let me ask you a little bit about.
Also, Chris, you're a backyard farmer because you grow some.
I am indeed, crops. Yeah. That part of it is true. So Natasha, one of your fellow associations, the Farm Equipment Association, I love the tagline and everything they send out. It says in these few words, quote, "Despite all our accomplishments, we owe our existence to a 1-foot layer of topsoil and the fact that we can irrigate or it rains."
I like it.
I've always gone by that, and so listen. I'm going to ask you a question, Tyler, if you will, and tell us about Valley Irrigation's Gold Crest Farm project, because I've done a little research on it. Rob and I have even looked at it as being a topic for a future show. So keep your ears open. We might be talking to you. we've had so many guests on that have talked about, precision farming or precision level farming, optimizing water usage, the huge increase in interest in tiling in farming now. So just kind of give us a brief overview of what Goldcrest Farms project is about.
Yes, sir. So Goldcrest Farm Trust Advisors is an organization that came in and said, look, we're going to purchase this land. We want to look at irrigating it and making it a farm of tomorrow, essentially. And so we came in and looked at this 25,000 acres outside of Garland, Arkansas, basically taking a full piece of ground that's not irrigated, that had some issues with drainage, and they've turned it into a true farming community, if you will, where you've got almost 25,000 acres of irrigated ground, whether that's most of it, majority of it is pivot irrigation, and then there is a piece of it that has flood in the areas where that made more sense for rice production and things of that sort. The other piece of it was the drainage side, so it's not just about irrigation sometimes, it's about drainage. And so there was a lot of work put into the ditching and new piping in order to get the water off, and Goldcrest Farm Trust was a great partner in this project with us, but we used our design engineers with help of their farm managers to put this farm layout together, and then from there all of the hydraulic engineering to become as efficient as possible with the miles and miles of pipeline. As you can imagine, when there's that many acres under pivot, the miles and miles of pipeline that had to go in and get all the friction loss calculations, and then you bring in all the automation and controls, right, that you have to operate this thing. So you've got this span of 25,000 acres. You don't just drive over there in 5 minutes and then flip a switch, right?
Yeah.
Or you buy a tanker airplane and you just fly at low level.
That or helicopter. But we were able to go in there and put in, Valley 365 on all of the pivots and the pump stations. So from their phone or from a computer, they can turn on a pivot. It's going to automatically turn on a pump. We're pumping a lot of water off of the Red River into the bayou, and then it flows down, and we have a series of dams that keeps the water level where it needs to be. And then we pump secondary pumps from there, vertical hollow shaft pumps, to the pivots. And so everything's fully automated that they can watch this thing, and it runs with variable frequency drives at each pump station. So as a smaller pivot may turn on, it's going to run at a lower pressure, and as a bigger pivot comes on farther away, it may need a higher pressure, and it adjusts automatically to that to give them as much horsepower savings as possible, which also saves, obviously, in cost.
Absolutely. How large is Valley Irrigation?
Well, Valley Irrigation is a piece of Valmont Industries, and it's on the New York Stock Exchange under VMI, and so it's a multi-billion-dollar business. And irrigation is it didn't create the pivot. We got the pivot, Mr. Daughtery, from Frank Zyback, and then he turned and created the pivot into a full commercial manufacturing process, and then took it from a hydraulically driven machine to an electric machine. So just like you always say, hand me a Kleenex, that's actually a tissue, right? Kleenex is the brand. Everybody for many years always said, oh, there's the Valley, because it was the first pivots out there, as we were first ones to the market, and have been able to do that for over 75 years now.
Awesome. You sound excited about what you do, and that's a good thing. You have the passion in the belly, and that's an important thing. Makes it a fun job.
It is, and I truly believe that agriculture is the straw that stirs America's drink. Right. And that being said is because I truly believe in what agriculture does, and I truly believe that farmers have been some of the most using sustainable practices for many years. Sustainability wasn't the key word 15, 20 years ago. No. But they want to be as sustainable as possible because that's what makes their living. And so we're proud to be a part and partner with farmers in that industry.
Great. We'd love to invite you back to a full show or a half segment.
Absolutely.
Next couple of weeks, I'll get it. Do you have a card, by the way?
I can leave you something, yes, sir.
Okay, that would be great. I appreciate that. I enjoyed
Good to meet you. Chris, good to meet you too.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Tyler.
All right. Up next is Miss Natasha Rankin. Well, they always say you save the best for last.
Yes.
have to be nice.
Hey, come on, I'm a wow.
No, you're a wow. You are a wow. I admit that. And anyway, we're glad to have you. Welcome again.
Thank you. Appreciate being here.
And I love coming to the IA shows. Lots of reasons. I'm a techie guy, so I like to go talk about all that kind of stuff with people. So tell us about the show this year. How did it go? What do you think it accomplished? What do you think the results are, and so forth?
Well, you know, the way that I always think of the Irrigation Show and Education Week is it is a wonderful way to showcase everything that the industry, the irrigation industry has to offer. You get to walk the aisles here, and, you know, in one space you're seeing the innovation of, you know, sprinkler regulation. The other place you're talking about the improvements that were being made in energy efficiency. And then you have all of the award winners that are
right.
pitching the contest, you know, for either a new product or a new company.
Yep.
And you're down the hallway. Somebody is listening to they're taking an hour-long course, or they're taking a certification exam, and over here we've got thought leaders from the industry who are giving 15 or 30-minute industry insights. It's a place that literally showcases the innovation and the technology,
yep.
and that this industry, the people, and the businesses have to offer. So.
And you don't have to be a member to come.
You do not need to be a member to come.
There's a lot of landscape contractors, smaller
yeah.
family-owned kind of business, really want to get to the next level.
Yeah.
So they're not breaking their backs. And what could they give as a service to their customer that makes them valuable? The more they know about the beautiful location, landscape, but also saving money every single month because you're not wasting water, and teaching that. And I think it's a benefit to them to raise their education skills, which I know you guys do a bang-up job on that.
Well, it's an important part because many contractors do serve as their impromptu educators. If you think about it, they're the ones who are frequently getting the questions and answering the needs of their customers or their clients, and they're at the front lines of providing information literally on the wisest use of water, what products and, what type of services. And when we equip them to have the information they need to your point, to answer the question, serve a need,
right.
They're naturally going to be able to grow their business. And so this is a place where we have, as you said, you don't need to be a member. But we certainly what we want is for you to have the information, the knowledge, so that they are more effective and ultimately efficient and grow their business, which grows this entire industry as well.
I think the networking opportunities here are unbelievable when you walk in. I mean,
they are.
I see lots of people that I've dealt with over the years being part of the IA, but I also see a lot of new people, and they come by even our booth, and they ask questions. Hey, what's this? How long has this been out? I didn't know it existed, because sometimes they don't. Well, they didn't come here and they didn't understand, and the people that they deal with at their end aren't to that level where they can explain, hey, there's some really great technical information and equipment that can save you money. And, you don't, as Dan said earlier, you don't just put a controller in and set it for 15 minutes and it runs that every single day when it's raining out. And, simple thing is, gee, let's design a rain shut-off device. Brilliant, but it's not rocket science. It's just if you can think about it, you can develop it. When I was young, I saw one of the first James Bond movies, Goldfinger, and they put on this jetpack, and he pressed the thing, and he flew up. And I'm thinking, somebody thought of that, and somebody developed that.
And you never know where those ideas are coming from. What's amazing to me when you are here is you are seeing competitors.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally, I mean you are seeing competitors, but brought up the networking. This is also an industry. They may be competitors, but they're also competition. They are very cooperative, and you never know where that next idea is going to strike.
That is correct.
And what I've experienced is that collaboration is what is leading to the type of innovation that are ultimately driving the smarter use of every drop of water. And I think that commitment, that universal commitment that you see here, it's not something that you find in every industry or every field, and it's impressive. And I'm glad that the Irrigation Show and Education Week is a place that showcases and highlights that.
Yeah. I'm finding more people that have the CLIA certificate. Yeah. I think that's awesome. I deal with a lot of people like that. I was just with one this afternoon that actually got hired into our homeowners association to manage over the contractors. And I find it really funny that big contractors, named ones, some of the biggest ones in the country, we've had at our location, but they only last like 2 or 3 years, and then it goes away. And it's, oh, you're wasting water, or you didn't fix this, or you didn't do that. And that's a shame, because they get one person who's a certified irrigation guy, and he trains other people, but they're not certified, and then they let them go on their way. And, when you got a company that's, I won't say who it is, but I'll just say they're in the top 10, and several of them, that you can't, I understand why they do that, but they really need the education to pass down further and further and further.
I agree, and I think I think that this is in some ways the part that the Irrigation Association can step up and do better at, is there is an actual direct economic return for investing in your people.
Exactly.
And that is, we've heard, I think we've all heard the excuses. I'm not investing in professional development or education and training in my team because they'll take it and they'll leave for 50 cents more an hour. Yeah. What I would say is that if that's really what the issue is, it probably isn't the 50 cents an hour. Right. If you're investing in your people, and education and training is something that you're demonstrating to them, you trust them. You're making the investment in them. They're going to return that. And the more we have that type of an understanding, but also connect it to what that economic return is for a company. Because I'll tell you, homeowners really do want to have a company that is trusted and credible to provide those services. And I'm passionate about that because I do see the benefit. I do see the improvements that it makes. And in this industry, in irrigation, trust is important.
My dad always taught me, it's, don't go buy cheap tools.
Well, you know what? I think it was Dan brought it up. It's like, you have a ton of consolidation, and all of a sudden, those company goes away, and now you've got a lot of consumers that have a brand that it can't be serviced any longer. And so ultimately, quality does matter.
That's right.
For the long term.
It's well worth time and effort to pay for something a little extra that you're going to get a little extra. Here, Miss, we got about a minute and a half left of the show.
All right.
How do people get a hold of the irrigation?
Best way to reach us is on the website. Irrigation, we keep it so easy. Irrigation.org. And we're always interested in connecting with anyone who wants to learn more about irrigation, no matter where they are in their journey.
Great. Chris, any last minute words from you, buddy?
No, just if you got just a half a second there, tell us about New Orleans next year.
Aha! The Big Easy. Well, we have loved being in Long Beach, and I will also tell you there's quite a lot of excitement about our show going to be. We are going to be in New Orleans, December 8th through the 11th. We're very excited to be there and are looking forward to bringing those on the West Coast a little bit further to the east.
Good.
This is a great location. Looking forward to it.
Good. Well, thank you very much for joining us again.
Thank you, Rob, Chris.
We
appreciate it.
Working with you every single year and throughout the year, whatever you need.
Thank you.
We will be glad to do for you. So thank you, and you have a safe trip home.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good night, everybody.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters 19.